Welcome back to another episode of Born Again Bowhunting Podcast. On today's episode, we have Justin Martin from Rogue. We're continuing on our sponsorship partnership.
Yep, our partnership series.
Yes.
Yeah. So this will be a good one.
This should be a pretty good one. We got them in-house, boys.
I figured it was easier than this old guy trying to figure out Zoom and all that stuff. It was going to be a mess.
Justin texted me, he's like, I don't have headphones. I'm like, all right, well.
My bad.
I'm like, well, we'll figure it out. Hoping you're...
How far do you live from us again?
Yeah. I'm like, wait, where are you guys? Okay, yeah, I'll just come up there. It'll be easier.
Make it easier.
Seriously, though, how far is that for you?
It's not far. It's like 45 minutes, I think, from
You
my
drove
house.
45 minutes to be with us?
Dude, I drive.
Honored.
I drive an hour to work. So.
Get this guy an Arnie. Come on.
I tried. He's got to do.
We got some deal. We're good.
Which will actually lead into our icebreaker questions.
Yes.
Actually.
Well, I answered that one.
Well,
That one.
we
Anyway.
want more detail.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll start off with our icebreaker questions. First one is during hunting season or, archery season, if that's more obtainable for you.
He hunts too.
Okay.
We'll get into it.
Sorry. What is your go-to drink? Water, coffee, energy drink?
I mean, if we're actually at a tournament or something like that, I try to like Gatorade or water, try to stay hydrated. But
Okay.
I mean, any other time, if I'm going for something, it's a deal. So,
Doing the do.
The old Mountain Dew, son.
that's my coffee.
Any certain flavor?
Just regular, good old fashioned.
So actually,
OG.
what is the original flavor of Mountain Dew?
I always assumed it was that.
I know, but
Just
what's it taste like? What's the original flavor?
That's
Explain that.
That's a good question. What's gasoline smell like?
I'm like, where are you going with this, dude? What are you
Dude, but for
talking
real,
about?
think about that. So they make the cherry
Yeah.
and they make like the different flavors.
It's-
What's the original
It's
flavor?
not a flavor. It's just original Mountain Dew.
It's actually a way of life.
It's the nectar of the gods. Man.
Look at him. Just tell me.
Tastes like heaven.
There's no better feeling than when it's like 8 a.m. and you crack open a fresh dew.
And you get weird looks and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, yep.
But the way it tingles in the first thing in the morning, baby. It's a good
There's so many
feeling.
things I want to say to that, but I'll let that one go.
We'll get into it. Don't you worry. What's going on there, man?
There we go.
That's
That's right.
You were not in the
quiet.
mic. Yeah, I fixed you.
My
Okay,
face is
so
covered.
Okay, number two.
Question number 2 is, what kind of trail cameras are you running this year that you like?
See, I'm going to be a little weird compared to some of your guests. I have like just cheap bow trail cameras.
Yeah.
That's all right, honestly.
He sits in the woods and takes the pictures himself.
No, like I mean,
He just sits
almost.
there camo, just
703 boys.
Let's put it this way. I get so particular about my trail cameras. I just checked my camera that I put out on my main property in August. So
You
Gotcha.
just checked it.
yeah,
He's letting her soak.
But like for me, whenever it comes to hunting, I'm way different because like I'm so year round go when it comes to tournament stuff that hunting, like I keep it as fun as possible.
Yeah,
and laid
no,
back, so.
I respect that. I
Like
respect that.
if I took it as serious as most people do, whenever it comes to hunting, I would like it would turn into archery for me where
Yeah.
I sometimes don't like it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
I respect that.
Yep.
And then the final question is, what kind of bow are you shooting?
Martin. So for hunting, I have their ADX7, and then for tournaments, it's the Legend. So
That's
And-
something new that we haven't heard yet.
Well,
Yeah.
he's actually not part of the ownership of it. You might think he is. 'Cause his last name is Martin,
it just works out that way.
but yes, that's why they signed him.
I was gonna say.
That's the only reason.
Only reason.
It's definitely not because of how I shoot or anything like that. It's
Well,
only-
boys,
That's not true at all.
It just makes sense, don't it? Just decide him because of his last name.
I think he's related somehow. Let's just put him on there.
Give him the family discount.
Hey, it's perfect.
Hey, I support it.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah. Whatever you got to do to get your foot in the door, that's what matters.
Exactly.
Yep, for real.
No, we're
For
joking.
real.
If you don't know Justin Martin, he's a great shot.
He's honestly like very, very, very good.
He's a professional archer. We
Like-
probably should start off with that.
Yeah,
Like
I don't think we
IBO,
touched on
I don't think we-
ASA, like
yeah.
always competing, always like either just at the shoot off or in the shoot off. Like
He does like the foam deer, though. He prefers foam deer over targets.
yeah, 3D
Little
3D guy. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit more entertaining that way. Gives my brain
most
something
guys,
to
yeah.
do.
Dude, I'm with you. I can't stand shooting inside. Oh,
Yeah.
Which is what we're doing. And you're going tomorrow to Indoor Nationals
we're
tomorrow.
leaving Friday.
Yeah.
So as we're all talking about how much we don't like indoors, we're all about to leave for a loop.
Yes. We're all about to get together again very soon. Friday, actually.
and shoot 5 hours each day.
Yes.
For 60 arrows in 5 hours. It sounds like a great time.
At least
man.
I'll have enough time in between ends
To breathe.
and regain strength.
And try to figure out why you're doing this.
That's 4 minutes of just like, why am I here?
That thought's going to go through my mind multiple times.
No, it's not that bad. I mean, we all enjoy it or we wouldn't do it, but it definitely
Yes.
It's a weird sport because like we love it and we think about it all the time, but then while we're there it's like it's over yet.
You literally just think of the memories of it, and that's what brings you back.
Right.
Because when you're doing it, you're like, this is like so stressful. You put so much time, so much effort, and so much practice, and you're just stressing yourself out the entire time. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, that wasn't bad.
It's like whenever I hear people talk about like going elk hunting. It's like I get an elk, it's so much work, I just hurt, and then it's like as soon as I get done, I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so miserable while it's happening, but I can't wait to go back. It's pretty much about like that.
Good comparison, yeah. I would agree. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I can get into the old questionnaire
Oh boy,
for
here we go.
Justin here. So yeah, like we said earlier, this is the second episode of our sponsorship series with Rogue Bowstrings. And Justin, we've introduced you, but why don't we tell the people what is your job title at Rogue Bowstrings?
So I think technically what my business card says is customer service manager,
Okay.
but I kind of do everything office related.
Yeah.
Like all the customer service stuff, warranty work, deal with bow specs. I pretty much, if it's in the office, I pretty much handle it for the most part. And then, have some people obviously helping answer the phones and stuff like that. But
Yeah, you just made me think about one thing, which is like every single year a new bow comes out.
Yeah.
And there's like, how many companies would you say there are roughly? 10, 12?
way too many.
Way too many.
It feels like a million during that
Yeah.
time of year.
Sure. So you're just, I'm sure like it's almost all year round besides like May to July or August.
Yeah.
You're just figuring out bow specs for these bow
and
companies.
like when Matthews releases their bows, I know that day it's always, I think it's normally a Tuesday. It's normally that day.
Yes, it is.
I have to get the specs that day.
Because people ordering strings.
Yeah, like I go to local shop that has Matthews.
Yep.
There's people there before UPS shows up with the bows that they're gonna buy a bow.
Yeah.
They don't even know what it is yet.
Yep.
And they're buying it. So I have to get in there, get the
Really?
specs, because by the time I get the specs in there, I have orders sitting on my desk. Like I have people calling in that they're gonna order them, so I have to be on.
So,
top
like,
of
these
it.
companies don't send you the specs. You have to get them yourself?
No, and like a lot of them have their own string companies technically.
Oh, so they don't. It's like hush-hush.
Yeah, so they want to sell their own, and
Yes.
they might even say like, avoid your warranty if you buy aftermarket strings. So
Gotcha.
I would say
just
that-
to sell their own.
I would say it voids your warranty if you don't know what you're doing and you break your bow trying to replace the strings. That's probably where it voids the warranty.
Right.
Yeah. Like some guy just got a press. He's like, I'm going to change the strings myself. And he blows up all the limbs. That probably.
and there are some bow companies like I can send them an email and they'll send me the prints.
Yeah.
But some of them it's like I reach out and they tell me to kick rocks. So,
Really?
So it's like I got to get my hands on the bows and actually like measure them out,
Yeah.
or if somebody will let us take them to the shop, we take them off and we'll build
Yeah.
a set and make sure everything's right before customers sell.
That's
buy 'em,
cool.
so.
That's cool.
So that's a pretty big, job in the office though. Like every, new bows. But yeah, that's cool. And
And
then
everybody releases at a different date, too.
that too.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Well, and like in PSE this year, I think they released like bows like 4 or 5 different times this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got on. It felt like every day I was getting on Facebook. It's like, oh great, I got another one I gotta get.
now we gotta go to the shop, pick up a PSE, check the specs. Yeah.
Well,
Did they put the strings on their limbs still? The string specs?
They don't have the string and cable lengths, but I do have friends in places that get me specs. And then like Hoyt, like you guys could pull up Hoyt's website right now and get the actual prints for the strings and cables. So
Oh, that's cool.
they're actually pretty easy
Nice.
when it comes to that. So
Gotcha. Kevin, what were you gonna ask?
I was just gonna say, like, it's not just the top tier bows that you're hearing about too. Like, how many bows does Matthew release in a year? 4 or 5, maybe.
something like that.
Sure, like
So-
the image, like the Matthews image, like that
Yeah.
women's bow.
Yeah,
He
it's
needs
not
the
it's
specs
not
for
always
that.
the flagship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
there's a lot of, and like a lot of those like lower than the flagship ones, they sell a lot more of them than you would think. Because like, trust me, I see how many, because I put all the orders in, so I see how many like we sell of each one. It's like, wow, that bow took off more than I thought, or maybe we're not selling as many of that one as I thought. So it's kind of
It's kind of cool to keep it like a
Yeah.
tally in your head.
yeah, that
kind
was
of.
when I started working in the bowstring stuff. It was kind of cool. Like, oh wow, that company is bigger than I thought.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you don't have $1 million social media team doesn't mean they're not
Right.
kicking butt with
Right.
sales.
Right.
It's interesting stuff. And, a lot of the work comes from the people in the shop, like the shop owners and the people selling the bows.
Yep.
That's where a lot of the heavy hitting comes from, not because you post on Instagram twice a week.
Yeah, and like as far as retail sales, it's very, very low compared to like our dealer sales when it comes to strings. Like,
Sure.
it's all shop oriented, so it's like definitely anybody in the industry always tries to push people to shops because it's like that's the lifeblood of the industry.
Yes.
So.
Yep, we agree.
That's a whole other podcast, to be honest.
Right. I was gonna say I feel like I just opened a can of worms. Maybe we'll close that one.
We'll go to the end of the podcast and see where we're at for time for that.
Justin now has to come back for another podcast. Okay.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down.
Part two. But no, you're right. I mean, like without the shops, you don't have anything.
You don't have
Nobody has
archery.
anything.
Yeah, you don't have archery.
No, and like for new guys too, where are they gonna go to get their beginner bow set up, their right draw length, and unless they have buddies that are into it, they're not gonna have anywhere to go to get started. So.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. One of our new archery friends that we've gotten, his name's Dylan, but he went to a shop and they got him a bow. Turned out it's nothing that he wanted, but they were there for him to get set up. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, we have a cord issue, but. Anyways, and then also if you call Rogue Bowstrings, if Justin's not at a tournament, there's a good chance he's going to be one answering the phone.
For the most part, yes.
So if you want to hear his voice a little bit more after this podcast,
if it's
call
that
Rogue.
sweet.
Yeah. So, okay, and then just for the people listening, if they don't know, where are you guys located? Where's the shop located?
So we're in Dover, Ohio, technically Winfield, but Dover address, which is like an hour and a half straight south of Cleveland.
Yeah.
So
Which we'll get there, but I also know where you guys are at.
you know quite well.
I do, yes, I do. I used to work for Rogue Bowstrings. If you didn't know that, so the next thing
He got too good for us.
now I'm an accountant. Believe it or not, I look at a computer all day. So.
Well, at least you kept following that trend of building bowstrings accountant.
Yeah. That's the career path, actually.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll come into Rogue and start talking to all the string makers. Like, all right, your next step will be an accountant.
Not a bad idea.
Okay, and then the next question I had was with Rogue. They've got 3 or 4 levels of strings right now.
So we have 3.
Okay, you want to go over that really quickly for the people?
So we have the R17s, R19s, and R21s. Your R17s, I don't want to say they're like a low end because they're not low end.
No, they're not.
They're really comparable to like most string companies high end.
Yeah.
But they're more of like our price point ones. So we try to make them a little bit cheaper while still keeping that quality.
Yeah.
I guess for everybody listening, if anybody's interested, I try to recommend, especially like newer bows, the newer Matthews, Hoyts, more aggressive bows to go to like the 19s or higher. But the 17s will work on them. So, just lower warranty, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the 19s and 21s, we get into some processes that we do that I can't speak about because they're top secretive. That's what sets Rogue apart.
Yep.
Makes them super, super stable. Both of them are going to be really solid strings. The 21s, you'll see a little bit of a speed increase compared to 19s. And like a little less fuzzing, stuff like that long term, just material differences.
Yeah, material difference. Yeah, absolutely. You just said warranty. Go over that really quickly for the people.
Yeah, 17s are 6 months against serving separation, stretching, and peep rotation. And then the 19s and 21s are a year for the same stuff.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. Which is
a solid warranty.
well, I'd say
like
you think of a string, you don't necessarily think of a warranty.
Yeah.
When you think of a string.
And I compare it to tires because I'll have people call in, they might get a set and take it elk hunting and they're dragging it through everything and, shredding it. And then they call in, is this covered? It's kind of like tires. If you wear it out, they're not really going to cover it.
Right.
So,
Right.
But, as long as you're taking care of them and if something goes wrong, we definitely want to hear about it.
And definitely, it's also like if it's a manufacturer defect or
Yeah.
something, because we're all human. Some things things happen sometimes.
And bowstrings are all built by hand.
Yes.
And they're materials that we don't have control over that the whole industry uses. So if there's a bad batch of material and something happens, we do want to know about it so we can fix it for you.
Sure.
I've actually had customers call in and basically scream at me immediately because something was wrong because they thought we weren't going to fix it. And then I'm like, I'm fixing it for you. Oh, really? Yeah. You just have to tell me what's going on.
Do you hear the keyboard clicking? That's me putting your information in to get you a new set. So
Through the screaming, I got your name. Okay, so you ordered the okay. But yeah, it's interesting sometimes.
it's definitely customer service. That will happen.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are, you will have an angry customer once in a
Yeah,
while.
that's
yeah.
the fun part of my job. I love it.
It's what drags you back into work every day, isn't it?
95% of people I talk to are
Yes,
great.
that's
It's those that other group that is like, oh, it makes me want to pull my hair out. But
Yeah.
And the guys that call and they just don't stop talking.
well,
They just miss you and
well,
they just want to talk
I think
to
you probably saw a couple of those where
did.
I was like, I really want to talk to you, but I'm sorry, I'm stuck. So,
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah. Anyways, we went with that one. Okay, so the next question I had was like just with the strings. Maybe some people don't realize like there's more than just black strings out there. What, from your perspective, what's been more like a cool color combination that you see a lot of, or that you wish you saw more of?
little bit everything,
Yeah.
honestly. The biggest thing with colors, and I think you're probably going into this next, like I think I know where this is going, but we have like every color you can think of.
Yes.
So
Taste the rainbow.
right, like you can make it as skittly as you want for the most part. The 21s are the only ones where you like can't do like a 2-color twist or anything like that.
Yes.
And no speckleds, just so we eliminate anything that could possibly go wrong with a bowstring.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I always tell people when they're picking a color, it all comes down to personal preference. Whatever you want it to look like, we can do it. But like if you want to do a darker colored string and a lighter colored serving, don't do that. So like
Yes.
if you want like dark blue and flow green, for example, do flow green with royal blue serving. Don't do the opposite, because that serving, it's thin, and when it goes on, it's really tight, so that color underneath will bleed through.
Actually bleeds through, kind of
Yeah.
like paint.
Yeah, it's almost like a clear when that lighter color goes on, so it'll bleed through. So if you do like a darker color on top, general rule of thumb, if you do the darker color on top, you'll be in good shape. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, because I mean, yeah, that's just because, like you said, like there literally are endless options for colors.
oh,
So
it's crazy, and they keep coming out with more.
Yeah,
Like, we
which
have
is-
more that look great, but people don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
That we already have. So
which is cool.
So here's a naive question for you, and maybe you can't answer this, and if you can't, just obviously skip over it. What, like, is it different dyes, or what causes? I guess this is just my naive self. Like, how do you get different colored? Is it
Yeah.
just material from your distributor, or?
So so BCY makes the color that like everybody uses, or the materials that basically everybody uses. So like 452X has a natural color, and that's the undyed material.
It's like a clear, or like a.
It's like an eggshell white,
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like an off-white. So to get the color, they dye it. I don't know exactly how it works, because it does change the diameters a little bit, which is weird. Like the flow colors are thicker than the
Really?
some of the colors. I don't understand how all that works, but so they dye it, and like, yeah. So I
Gotcha.
think
They
that
just dye it.
answers it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, pretty much they just have their own process to dye.
Well, I was just curious. Like you said, they're coming out with new colors every day, and I was just curious, like how that process works.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I've never been like to their factory. I know a lot
Gotcha.
of like string builders have, but I don't know 100% how that
Gotcha.
works.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. Yeah, and it interests me to like how they make the material. That's a very interesting. Like who figured that out, and like
I've wondered that many
how
times.
many millions of feet of just one strand of string is just being pushed out a month
Right.
or a year from BCY.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's crazy because they're like the only manufacturer. I mean,
Yes.
there used to be Brownell, which I think they're open, but not really. I
yeah.
don't really know. And then there's one in like Japan or China, wherever
Gotcha.
Majesty is.
Okay, Majesty. Yeah.
And then Bloodline is a kind of a newer one that
Is that,
came
I was
out
going to
too.
ask this Bloodline. Yeah.
But like those ones are so small. Like basically BCY almost has a monopoly.
Yes,
So
they do.
yeah, they're like the only ones anybody really uses. So.
Yeah.
And for maybe for the listeners or viewers that aren't really catching up what we're talking about, BCY is the actual material of the string.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like every string is made with BCY material, and then people that like make custom strings, the process of building your string is different. So like that's what separates the string companies.
It's I compare it to like a chocolate chip cookie recipe. Everybody loves chocolate chip cookies, but every chocolate chip cookie tastes different because of different recipes and stuff.
Yep.
So
That's a good way to put it,
Yeah.
actually.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I like
want some cookies
Yeah. All we got is some Arnie's.
now we're all hungry.
Yeah. And actually, Justin brought cookies. They're
That'd have been a good little introduction.
yeah, right. Strings are like cookies, everybody.
Look at that.
But yeah, that's kind of all the questions I have about Rogue. Do you get anybody here have any questions for Justin about the bowstrings or from the hunting perspective? If you do, throw them at him, because that was kind of my...
No, I think you covered most of them. I really think that if anybody's listening to this that is a serious hunter, or maybe somebody that wants to get into target archery,
Yeah.
I would strongly recommend going with a custom string. You know, obviously we're going to recommend Rogue. They're our boys. We love their strings.
Yep.
But like, I highly recommend going with a custom string, because like your tolerances are tighter. Your bow is going to feel faster. Your bow is going to feel tighter. You're not going to have that like, I don't want to say like spongy back wall. Like stock strings are a little bit like...
Justin can attest to this. If you wear out a set of factory strings on a bow and you put a fresh set of custom strings on there, can you not feel the difference?
You
Yeah.
can 100%.
Well,
The performance difference.
Yeah, and like most of the factory strings are built in mass qualities.
Yeah.
And they're shootable, but they're more made to hold the bow together. So,
Yeah,
like
for
you,
real.
and you can
Most
shoot
of the time.
Yeah,
Right?
most of the time, not every time, but no, they're like they mostly hold the bow together and give you something to start with.
Yeah.
But like, it's crazy. It blows my mind how much money people spend on a great target setup or something like
Yes.
that, and then they just shoot
The
whatever
stock
strings,
strings,
and
yeah.
they have no idea the performance that they're losing, and
Yep.
just the feel overall of the bow, that they're losing so much feel and performance out of it they don't even know. So
Yeah.
Well, you'll see that a lot of time on like a forum. Somebody goes and buys this new bow. People recommend strings. They're like, well, why didn't this $1,000 bow come with good strings? And they don't want to spend the extra X amount for a good string. But everybody's always like, it makes a huge difference.
It does.
It
It
makes
does.
And until you buy a string, like Rogue was my first bowstring that I didn't have as a factory, and like the factory string peep twist within like 6-8 months, I've had that one for over a year now, and it's staying true. Yeah.
you shouldn't have
Solid
any
plug.
problems with
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you do, we want to know about it so we can fix it, because
Yeah.
we don't want anybody running around that maybe got a bad string, because I mean,
It happens.
like
It happens.
like
Yeah.
you guys said, we're human. It happens. So if somebody does get something that they're not happy with, we want to know about it so we can fix it.
Right.
Make it right. So.
Right.
That's been the biggest thing for me is the peep twist.
Yeah.
Just
so annoying when
it-
it's happening.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you just don't want to shoot your bow. 'Cause you're just
Seriously,
going like
it's
this
so
to your
annoying.
string.
Yeah.
and the Rogues, they've been solid.
Yeah.
And it feels so much better. I remember
it's
because
tighter.
It's just tighter.
last year, it was either last year or 2 years ago, I got my first set of
First.
I always shot stock strings. I
Mhm.
just shot them out.
Yeah.
And then I got a set of Rogues, and it was like, oh,
Yeah.
Big
And
difference.
honestly,
Big difference.
honestly,
Yeah.
if you tested on like what's the word? Like a poundage,
Sure, like a
Yeah.
scale.
a bow
Yeah.
scale. Yeah. Thank you. If you test them, like honestly, you're gonna gain a couple pounds with a set of custom strings.
yeah. And like Kevin was saying about spending. I mean, you just spent darn
Yeah.
near $1,000
More.
yeah,
More.
on a brand new
Ain't
bow.
on a
Ain't
bare
no
bow.
darn near. It is
There
a grand right
Dude,
now.
I promise you, there is no there's no flagship bow that's not going to cost
Yeah.
you 12, 15, 16.
What's another just little bit
Couple
to
$100
put
bucks,
a
yeah.
great set of strings on it,
And
to make it
especially
shoot better.
you get into like the crossbow world. These guys with like the Ravens and the new 10
Dude.
points that are so expensive, and those strings, like they even say like, do not shoot these past X amount of shots.
Yeah.
Like you need to have these checked out every couple hundred shots.
Yes.
Like we have shops that actually, with a lot of these new crossbows, they'll order string like R21s from us, put them on there right away, and they're
Yes.
like, dude, these gained like 20 feet a second.
Wow.
Sure.
Because we charge the customers a little bit of an upcharge, and they're super happy. Like we don't see them for a long time.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
Yeah, and there's that's a whole nother podcast.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I love the people. I don't love it, but people that just are new to the hunting world, they'll leave their like those high poundage crossbows just cocked 24/7 sometimes.
Dude.
Oh.
And then they I heard a story from somebody that said they were sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden they hear this bang from their bedroom, like, what the heck was that? And they go in their safe, and their crossbow's just in
Yeah.
pieces. And that happens. Yeah, get the cannon there. It happens when they're not even cocked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It hasn't happened as much recently, but like a few years ago when Raven was more newer, they had some cam issues, and their strings were a little bit worse at the time as well. And like we were getting phone calls like, like what you just said. I was just sitting in my living room and boom, and then
Dude.
my boat just blew
My
up.
boat just exploded.
Think about the pressure
Oh,
that's on. Have you ever like taken your bow apart, like when you take your string off and you take your limb of just a compound and you try your hardest to bend that
Flex
sucker, dude, you can't.
Well,
No
and
way.
think about the crossbows, like, and a lot of the newer, like the Ravens or some of those other ones, they're making the cam track so thin to where the cables have to be made with less strands as well.
Jeez.
So they're pushing it as hard as they possibly can.
Is that just for speed purposes?
I'm assuming so, but I mean, it makes it hard for all string builders because like there's however many hundreds of pounds of pressure
Dude, it's
on each one.
thousands. I guarantee it. It's thousands.
Crazy.
Crossbows scare me.
Dude, the
They
newer,
are scary.
the new ones that like flex into like 6 inches. It's like, oh my god.
I haven't talked to one dealer that like whenever somebody brings a Raven in that they're excited to change the strings and put it that way. They're like, I like my fingers and I don't want to do this.
for real. Like that's not
It's
a joking
sketchy.
matter.
It's sketchy.
Ooh.
Anyway, we'll get off the crossbow.
That's a
train.
different podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just to finish up the Rogue thing, but yeah, I worked for Rogue for almost 2 years, I think, year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, something like that.
And this podcast, I had about every day I went to Justin's office and I sat in his chair behind him, and we podcasted with ourselves about 40 minutes a day, every day.
We solved the world's problems.
We did. Our problems. Not really, actually. We just made fun of each other and the people that were there. But yes,
Sounds about right.
had a great time. That was I miss it. So this was fun to get together. Now we're not ending it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're breaking up with me. I'm a little sad. I'm sad that you brought me up here to do it.
Yeah, publicly on
Yeah,
camera.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
So one thing that I want to one thing I want to talk about before we venture off into like sorry
His
sorry
pros.
Sound like symbols.
first time before we jump into like your personal life and what you do, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find Rogue on either social media or like, hey, we want to buy a string, like what's the process?
Yeah. So I believe it's just Rogue Bowstrings on like Facebook, Instagram, and they're doing a TikTok now.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about TikTok. Again, it goes back to me being old. But so they're on all of the social medias. You know, you can get on the website. We are working on the website, so hopefully change is coming in the future. But the best way to get a hold of us if you want to order anything, the email and phone numbers on the website. Basically call in or email me. My email is justin@roguebowstrings.com if anybody wants to feel so inclined, or they can call into the office. It's 866-9-string, basically.
Okay.
Easiest way to
Sweet.
remember that. So
Gotcha. Yeah, so if anybody out there wants a new a new string, call up our friends at Rogue.
Seriously, they need to.
We all run them, you know.
Absolutely.
Cromer and I
We've been-
have them on our target bows.
Obviously I've been with Rogue since I worked for you guys,
but even before.
yeah, even before,
Yeah.
no matter what
You and
guys-
I were with them.
before
I had a
worked
set
there.
of Rogues on my Elite tour,
That was 2015.
at least.
When did we open? When did
So
Rogue
we
open?
started in 2017.
Okay.
I think technically opened in December of 16, but like January 1st of 17 was like
Gotcha.
the
So
official.
you're probably right. I probably had that bow for like a couple years, and then I put those strings.
But before
on
you
it.
got rid of that bow,
But before I got rid of that
you
bow,
had some Rogues on
I
it.
had Rogues on it.
Yeah, and that was a 2015 Elite Tour. So
Yep.
but Rogue's been around for a while.
Yep.
But yeah, great strings, great people. I can't go wrong. There are a lot of options out there, but if you ask us, we're going to Rogue. So
Yeah, and if
We-
you ask any bowstring company, they're all going to tell you we're the best because of
Yeah.
how we do it. But
Yes,
I can tell you we're always working on things and innovating
Mm-hmm.
processes that we do. Then, like I said, I can't get into that obviously because other companies will copy it and do it. But there's definitely a stability difference and peep difference and all that stuff.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
cool.
I know 100%. We stand by Rogue.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, ever since so
Yeah, we appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we
So-
appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys have been, working on getting bigger, more
Yeah.
followers and stuff, and we appreciate you guys sticking with us. And
Yep.
yeah, it's looking forward to the future. So.
Yeah, for sure. We're excited.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody's going anywhere.
Yeah, we're
all
sticking.
sticking around.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Except for us three going to Louisville this week.
Yeah. Yes. We may not come back because we just end it. Anyway,
It is.
we end it
indoors.
all.
It is indoors, so we never know.
All right, let's-
Anyways, to cap that, I personally don't mind 5-spot. But anyways, we'll move on.
Surprisingly, for a 3D guy, I feel like 5-spot is like. I hate that the least, oddly enough.
in indoors. I'm starting to become that way too.
Yeah.
Vegas is tough for me. That's a tough
Yeah.
face for me.
And like it's weird because the 5-spot face is the hardest face to stay focused on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
but then like I go to indoor nationals my first year, like 4 years ago, and clean it and make the
Yes.
shoot off, and it's like
That was like your was that your debut as a pro
No.
for a shoot off? You had some
yeah,
IBO stuff?
that was my first pro shoot off.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I thought.
But like that was my first time going there, and it's like, this was more arrows than Vegas. It should be harder, but
Yes.
it was like
I personally,
it's a mindset.
I
Yeah.
personally think it's a rhythm thing with 5-spot. If you can get
Yeah.
a decent rhythm with 5-spot, you can just shut everything off and just boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, I feel like there's more pressure on 3 arrows. There's too many colors. I have ADHD. I'm looking at the blue, looking at the red. I'm looking at all the other colors, but I don't know.
No, I think the color thing honestly is
Messes with me.
if the 9 wasn't yellow,
Mm-hmm.
I think Vegas you would shoot it 10 times better.
Yeah.
I personally do because sometimes you get like lost in that yellow sea of just
Is that why it is yellow?
good enough. Pink. It might be.
See, like
Maybe
for,
there's something behind it.
Maybe.
for the pros anymore too. It's like even going to Lancaster, it's like you can't miss X's.
No.
No.
I mean, you can't miss. So like even going to Lancaster, that one used to be really laid back, and it's like I can't miss very many, or I'm not even going to make the top 64.
Right.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
like with the 5-spot face, it's like, oh, as long as I color in the lines here, I make the
Yes.
if I at least make the shoot off, I have a chance. And I'm
Yep.
tied
Yep.
for the lead.
So
So
this is my feeling on the Lancaster and the Vegas thing and the indoor nationals thing. With Vegas and indoor nationals, you have to hit 10s basically. You have to hit the X ring on a 5-spot and the 10 ring on a Vegas face.
Yeah.
X's don't matter.
Yeah.
So if you're just having an okay day and you can just keep it in the 10, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
You go to Lancaster, the advantage of Lancaster is you can shoot a 9 and still be in it. But you better be shooting
X's.
10 X's. No, excuse me, 20 X's to 1 9.
Yep.
well, and like I've been the guy at Lancaster, not this year. This year's a different story, but I've been the guy many times where I'm like tied to make the top 64, and I shot 1-9 the whole time. Well, somebody else shot 5-9, so that means he has 4 more 11s than I have.
He makes the cut.
and he makes it in, and I'm out.
It's,
So
it's by
yeah.
X's, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the good thing with like Vegas and indoor nationals,
Yes.
because you know what you have to do going in. Like
Yes.
even different like 3D for me, you got to shoot as high of a score as you can.
Yeah.
But like there, it's like I know what I have to do to make it.
Yes.
And we just bored everybody that doesn't know what we're talking about. But
Listen, I want to get more target archers on this podcast, so
but yeah,
we can all watch paint dry together, okay?
perfect.
Yeah. So
I have a question on the 5-spot.
Yes.
So you got 2 up top, 1 in the middle, 2 at the bottom. Do you have to shoot them in the same order, or is it
no.
okay?
You just have to have 1 arrow in each target,
Each-
basically.
Yeah.
Each
Okay,
spot.
so there's no like left or right.
Because
Isn't there one you have have to shoot the same order?
Lancaster. you have-
Lancaster,
Yeah.
you
because
decide- but you
of
decide.
X's,
Yeah.
yeah, and then
you
they
decide.
also make you like whoever drops the point first.
Right.
It might be a tiebreaker,
Yeah, you have to number your target in the order you're going to shoot it at Lancaster.
and then you always have to shoot that way.
Yeah, because they use that when you miss first as a tiebreaker
Yep.
there,
Yes.
and that's the only place they do that. Anywhere else, as long as you have 1 arrow in each spot, they're like, yeah.
So like, weren't you
Cool.
telling me a story about like some old guy at?
Easy. Yeah. I had
This isn't me, is it?
Maybe I shouldn't say this.
easy. No, he was a great guy. I forget his name. He was awesome. But I shot with him at state just recently, and he had
5 spot.
just the state indoor championship at Ohio Archers. And he just had one of those hiccups where, I mean, this dude was not missing X's. I was like, he was keeping up with me, and all of a sudden he just had like a, target pan.
A hiccup.
Target pan just punched him right in the mouth, and he had a dip bang, but he tried to correct it with some English, and he shot his arrow up into the wrong target, but he hit a 4 in the target that he was not aiming at. So if he was aiming dead center, he hit the top right target. So, but with 5-spot, you can do that. So he still won the tournament. He was in like the 65 plus senior class. He still won the tournament because when he misfired, he shot the wrong target. It still counts.
It was still on his
It was still a 4.
It was
yes.
still
it was on his target.
his
face.
target.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Because it doesn't matter which one he was shooting at. It just,
Yeah,
it
as
still
long
hit
as
one.
there's not an arrow
So
in it
there was
already.
a target that was
Oh.
missing an arrow in it.
Yep.
But it didn't matter. He still got.
I should shoot 5-spot.
If you miss that bad and get an X, yes.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
I meant to do that.
Yeah, I just got tired of aiming to that one spot. I changed it up. Don't tell people.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't say a word.
So yeah, there's just some like when you get into this target archer stuff, there's the littlest things that you have
Yeah.
to know the details to to keep going.
Field, like how you shoot.
Oh my gosh!
Let's not even get into that. You know,
I thought that was your game, man.
Yeah, but it'd be a whole podcast on
okay.
the rules.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
another podcast
you get
on the
DQ'd if you don't shoot the right block, and it's just a bunch of nonsense.
rules. If you're shooting with the right people, you will get they'll say 0.
That could be the best thing that happens to you all day, though.
Thank you.
No, I actually, if I had a little bit, if I actually had a setup right now that was set up for that, I would probably shoot it a little bit more just for good practice. But
You need to come shoot some field with me this year.
Yeah, this summer when you get bored.
Yeah.
I need some skinny arrows, though, is the problem.
Look at your hat and go ahead and email Jason.
Well,
and,
yeah. Anybody want
I'll give you-
Black Eagle?
Yeah.
Yo, Jason.
What's up, Jason? Yeah. He'll hook you up. Actually, Dan McCarthy too. So
No, he's the man. I'm telling you.
they're
Dan-
both the
Dan's
mans.
the man.
They're the mans. But yeah, that's.
All right, let's get out of this rabbit hole.
I'm shooting Black Eagle too. So thank you, Jason. All right. So Rogue.
Well, hold on. We really didn't introduce Justin. I mean, I know we're halfway through the podcast, but like, did we even introduce him as like?
I said he was a pro archer
Yeah,
earlier.
exactly.
So
We did. That's all we did.
That's all we said.
Do you want to just
I mean, what more is there to say? I mean,
before we get into like your personal life of as a pro archer and like your hunting, why don't you just tell the people a little bit about yourself? I think
start with your social security number.
what kind of stuff do you want to know? I guess.
Your name, age, where you grew up.
Bank
yeah,
account.
just a little
Are
bit.
you
Yeah,
married?
bank account information.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Justin Martin. I think we accomplished that one earlier. I'm 30 years old now, so
Dude, you're not that old.
I told you I'm old, man. No.
What are you talking about?
Kevin feel bad.
Kevin's the old man.
He's over here saying he's old and I'm older than he is.
Well,
Jeez.
trust me, the conversation me and Zach were having the other day, I felt like I need to come in here with a walker or something. But
What were we talking about? I have dementia. I'm 27.
I think just the Zoom and stuff.
Oh,
like
the
that.
Zoom. Okay, gotcha. I was like, well, we've talked a lot recently, Justin.
Yeah.
You've caught me up on a lot, so I
Yeah,
didn't know
we
what
have.
we're talking about.
But yeah, I've basically grown up not far from here, really. I mean, Loudonville, Ohio is where I grew up. I live in Killbuck now, which is a cool name. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I don't know what else to.
That's. I mean, just a small intro before
Yeah,
we get
yeah,
into everything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're married,
Yeah,
right?
I'm married. Yep, Brandy, my wife. So.
And you guys shoot together.
Yep, and she's also a pro. So
That's all.
we shoot together, and
And
like
she's really good as well.
yeah. Oh, yep. So, I mean,
Yep.
definitely gives me some good competition
Yeah.
because you don't want to get beat by the wife
Yeah.
too often.
Yeah.
It's good for you, though.
I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but you don't want to get beat too often.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
and she was making shoot offs before I was, and I heard all the jokes about it. And
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Couple actually, didn't she? It was a couple.
yeah, she made a few of them, and I heard all the. Yeah, at least you got somebody to carry you and all that stuff. So I was like, well, I got to fix this and figure out how to at least get there. So
And you've made up for it.
yeah, hopefully.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
You've held some checks. You've
Yeah.
done well.
yeah.
So we'll get into the pro archery. How long have you been shooting pro, Justin?
So my first year as a pro was 2014.
Okay.
So this is my 10th season.
Oh, how's it feel?
So you
been a hot
started
minute.
young, right? Because
Yeah,
you'd been like 20 years old. 21?
See, yeah, I was 21. So
Wow.
Yep.
What made you want to dip your toes in the pro?
man, from the time I started shooting tournaments, I knew that's where I wanted to be.
Mhm.
I didn't have any business moving up when I did, but it went surprisingly well.
Mhm.
Like from my rookie year, I was actually competitive quite a bit. And like the first shoot, I wasn't as smart as some guys like to win out and like get kicked in. I just jumped in and guys were like, who's this guy? And I remember the first time I had ever shot an ASA, it was in the pro class.
Wait, your first ASA was in the pro class?
First ASA. Never shot an ASA before, only IBOs. I'm telling you, I had no business going. So my first ASA, the first day out there, everything's cool. And then I start seeing Levi and Dan and all these guys I've looked up to for years. I'm like, oh wow, I'm on the same course as these guys. This is gonna be interesting. And that first day, somehow I only shot 1.8, and it was on a glance out from center 10. And I shot 13 up that weekend, and I think at the time it got me like 24th place. So the courses were a little bit softer at the time than what we have now. But I was competitive a few times that year. Stayed fairly in the mix, and then it kind of went downhill for a few years. But
That beginner's luck is always good.
well, it was more like I started learning how to set up my own bows. I literally did what most people do as an amateur, like learning how to do everything. I was doing that
While shooting pro.
while shooting pro to where it was like middle to bottom of the pack almost all the time, and then like, oh, I had a weekend where I was like top 10 and then back down here again. So I had to learn how to win the hardest way possible. I think I'm a glutton for punishment. So
Sure. That's why I do archery. That's why you're a pro archer.
well, watch throwing that P word around.
You earned it. You
dude.
pay for it.
No, it definitely paid for it. Hey, I always tell everybody the difference between a pro and an amateur is about $150.
Yes. Every weekend.
Every weekend.
Every weekend. Yeah, absolutely. I just want to give people a very quick rundown. You shoot a Martin bow. Give me some accessories that you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go over your bow setup.
Shoot Martin bows. We obviously just said that. Dead center stabilizers, obviously Rogue Bowstrings, True Ball releases, Excel sights, Black Eagle arrows, boning vanes.
Mm-hmm.
What release are you running?
The True Ball blade. So the
Been running that for a
release.
while.
Yeah, since they came out with it, that thing just. I was shooting a True Ball release before that it was kind of getting worn out because I shot it so much, and then I didn't have any more of them. They came out with that blade that year, and it just fit my hands
worked.
so well.
Yeah.
So I've just never looked back. So that's been my go-to. So
Very solid.
What do you shoot for a rest? Maybe I missed it.
I use a pro
Gotcha.
blade, basically
Gotcha.
just a standard
Freak
blade.
show?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just a standard blade rest. So
Yeah. It's hard to beat.
yeah, just something simple that's not gonna. Hopefully, doesn't fail on me. So
Yeah, we had Noah.
Unless you break your blade.
yeah,
we
I
had
heard that
Noah
one.
on a few weeks ago, and his blade was breaking at Lancaster, and he replaced it, and he's like, boom, 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 center.
Yeah.
Like he kept his arrows kept going lower and
was
lower
sagging.
and
It's
lower.
sagging, yeah.
And he's like, I gotta keep putting clicks in my sight, and then he's like, he replaced his blade, and everything was just like back in the middle.
That was a horrible voice rendition of Noah.
I don't think.
Poor Noah. I'm sorry, buddy.
For the record, Noah, if you're listening, I don't think you sound like that. Zach does. So
It's the headphones. I'm sorry. It's just the headphones. And then, talk to us because you are a recent winner of a tournament. So tell us about the IBO win that you.
And then also, I want to mention that you shoot unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So like after we talk about your win, let's dive into that a little bit too.
That's good.
yeah. Last weekend was IBO Winter Nationals, which it's basically the first one towards like Shooter of the Year points. So that was like I was lucky enough to win Shooter of the Year last year by 1 point. And then this year, so this was the first one. Normally, like Winter and Spring Nationals, we have maybe 10 guys that show up.
Yeah.
And this year we had like 16. I think last year, the same tournament, we had 9. So I don't know. Apparently, there's a resurgence going on, so which is good. But
Doubling numbers, baby.
yeah, so
that's good.
It was a good weekend. So
That's cool. I heard it was cold.
it was cold.
Where was it at?
So it was Mount Airy, North Carolina, which basically very north on 77, North Carolina. Friday it rained and was just like overcast, dreary.
Yeah.
Blech. And then Saturday it was supposed to be a lot nicer, and we got over there. It was like mid 30s, 20, 30 mile an hour winds. Wasn't ready for that, but so it was pretty much hold on for dear life. Saturday I've had a good day, and that carried me luckily. So
In the wind?
yeah,
In the crappy weather?
well, no, the Friday on the rain day, I shot a really good round. So I shot
Gotcha.
16 up that first day,
That's good.
and then the second day in IBOs it's 11. So
So you shot 16 up now, and you shot 13 up
I
10
shot
years ago. So like in one day, you beat the score you did 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, like a few. Well, that was at an ASA too, so
okay,
different.
gotcha. A
Yeah,
little
there's
different.
12s and stuff, but yeah, actually, my high score at an IBO before this weekend was 14 up.
Yeah.
that was when I won Winter Nationals like 4 years ago. So
Gotcha.
Awesome.
I kind of blew that one out. So
Good.
Attaboy.
Yeah,
But-
congrats.
Yeah.
yeah, thanks.
Yep.
So got the W, and that's good. And then what Matt just said, the known and the unknown thing. Just what do you shoot? Explain a little bit for the people.
Yeah, so I shoot unknown yardage. That's kind of what the 3D game was built around originally. The ASA does offer they offer classes for everybody. So if you want to shoot known yardage, or you want to shoot unknown yardage, they have classes for everybody. A lot of people are coming into the ASA that have never shot it before, shooting known, and then there's guys that have shot known forever that are transitioning over to try unknown. So it's good with ASAs that they give you something in both. And right now it seems like a lot of people are finding interest in the unknown side, and kind of whatever anybody wants to do there. So
Does IBO offer anything that's known? It's all
don't.
unknown.
Yeah, they have, like at the Triple Crowns, they have this field thing. I don't know exactly how it works.
It's like a triangle, and there's like 3 targets, and you shoot the target that you want to shoot, and that's based off of points. It's kind of like golf.
Yeah, it's kind of
Not important.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah.
But like as far
It's
as
not important.
as far as actual IBO go with 3Ds, they don't offer anything.
So they don't have anything that's
No.
known.
So I think
So don't show up with a rangefinder.
yeah,
is
don't,
what you're saying.
like you can show up with a rangefinder, but you're not going to have it on the course with you. They will take it. So, but
Yes, and your name will be talked about for generations.
definitely a little bit at least for some people, depending on what class you're in. So
I remember a story a long time ago. A guy took those binocular rangefinders and he put stickers over all the buttons so people didn't know that they were.
yeah,
rangefinders
I was
out of
just
it.
I don't know what the guy's name was, but there was a guy that I think it was right when they came out with a pair of binoculars that had like nobody knew they were
Rangefinders
nobody knew this existed.
Yeah.
And he won a few tournaments like as a pro doing that.
in the IBO.
It
I don't know if it's IBO
might have been
ASA.
ASA.
I don't know. I don't know the whole story for sure, but I know like that happened, and
Yeah,
then
I
he
remember that
got
too.
like kicked out like, for eternity.
Yeah, I'd say homeboy was bringing home the checks.
Yeah.
That's like catching a bunch of walleye and putting some fillets and weights in them.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
I don't know how them lead weights got in them fish.
Yeah.
they must have been eating good, man.
Stinking Lake Erie, man. I tell you what,
They-
there's just
They're picking up trash. I
lead
don't know.
balls. Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. Any other questions for the IBO stuff?
How many circuits are there a year?
Like for the IBO, like
Yeah, how many
tournaments?
legs?
So there's winter and spring nationals, which are like the 2 early ones that people really go to if they're into shooter of the year, basically, or if they just love IBOs. And then there's the 3 legs of the Triple Crown, and of those 5 first tournaments, you can drop your low score towards shooter of the year, and then Worlds has to count. So there's 6 total like IBOs.
Gotcha.
So
Who did you beat by 1 point last year?
Danny Evans,
Okay,
yeah, and
good shot.
Jack Wallace was right there tight too, but then the last day at Worlds he had an equipment failure, so he it was going to be really tight. Like I actually would pull it out to a lead, and then the second day I had like a 4 target stretch of just bad decisions. It wasn't nerves or anything. I kind of wish I could say it was, but it was just bad decision after bad decision.
Yeah.
And it got interesting real quick.
Yeah.
So,
Got tight.
Yeah, it like what should have kind of been a little bit more calm of a finish, it turned into a 1 point that I
Just
found
wanted
out.
the pressure, didn't you?
Yeah, I just got to make it interesting, right?
I can't win like that. That's
Yeah.
way too easy.
But like Danny and Jack are always right there for shooter of the year. I
Yeah.
mean, they've been like, you could probably call them Mr. IBOs for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're definitely good yardage judgers and decision makers when it comes to that.
So what you're saying is the last 10 targets, you put your rangefinder away.
Yeah. So I knew guys were going to be watching, so I was like, okay, let's slide this back. Yeah.
He hid it underneath the log that he had.
Yeah. No. But
It's funny.
yeah. No. Actually, my rangefinder stays at home.
Yeah.
Just so.
No, I would
Yeah,
do.
I'm
I
not-
would do the same thing.
That
And we're
takes
just joking.
Yeah, I'm not saying you did that.
Everybody knows we're joking.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable talking about like how you judge yardage, or like don't give away your secrets?
Yeah, no,
but, like,
I mean, there's not really secrets to it, I guess. I'm probably going to be the worst person to explain this, but so I think Dan McCarthy's explained similar too, but it's kind of like this. You guys are going to look at me like I have 3 heads probably.
No,
but
we talked to Noah about how he aims on a target. So no, you're gonna be fine.
That's valid. I actually heard that. Too.
Yeah.
I can't.
Go
say,
ahead.
I
You're not
can't say
gonna
that
throw
mine's
us.
too different sometimes
Yeah,
than yours, but
I
we won't get into that. Like basically, I walk up to the target and I kind of get just a gut feeling,
Yep.
like of
First
how far it
initial
is.
gut, yeah.
Yeah, and just from years of seeing these targets and everything, like I get that idea. Okay,
based on size.
yeah, if it's a deer, okay, it looks like it might be 43, but a lot of judging is figuring out what it's not. So it's like, okay, I feel like it might be 43. Could it be 45? Could it be 40? You know, and you kind of narrow it down like, okay, what I'm seeing, and like tendencies on the targets too. Like a deer was a bad example. Okay, like a wolverine, I typically underjudge a wolverine. So if I walk up and I say looks like 43, probably 45. You know, that's
because of the small,
yeah.
how small it is.
So that's kind of going to be like where I start, and then if the ground's there, I'll use the ground. Like I'll try to find a 20, 30, 40,
Yeah.
like kind of use the ground as a second reference, just to see if I'm like way off, because the ground isn't as reliable for me. So
Sure.
I'll use that as a second reference, and if it's like way different, I might split the difference a little bit, but kind of. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you do the listening of the arrow and impact?
Ask that.
Yeah, if like
Because you guys can't shoot more than what 290.
yeah, so ASAs we can shoot. It's 290, but you have like a percentage variance. So
Yeah.
most guys are like 93-ish, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. And then IBOs, it's 300, again with a variance. So most guys are like 302, somewhere in there. But we do, we'll like tell at the beginning of the day, like, hey, I'm shooting, 302, and I'm shooting 290.
So you guys are
something
honest
like
with
that.
each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, so we do. They might not have been in the past, but it's changed a lot where we're.
Because I've heard stories about pros like
Yeah.
lying about their speed of their bow, and then like somebody will go up and be like, "Man, that," listening to the arrow, they'll be like, "Man, that I," then they, and then they miss the target, or they shoot an 8 or something like that.
Back in the day, that was a lot more. I was actually talking to Levi about that, like last year at one of the tournaments. It's like, man, the culture's changed a lot out here, hasn't it, over the last like 10
like people
years?
just being more honest.
Yeah, like everybody's pulling for you. Like,
Yeah.
like if you have a good day, everybody's happy for you. Like it used to be like,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
everybody. So everybody's honest. We kind
that's
of
good to hear.
Yeah,
I like that.
Well, I think it's because on social media, there's no secrets anymore. Like
Yeah.
you're.
But you got a good point there.
I mean, back in the day, you had a secret. You not necessarily think everybody knew it. Nowadays, like if somebody has a good idea, they're gonna put it online,
Right.
and you already know what it is. So it's like there's no more secrets
Yeah.
technically. So it's like, what's the point of trying to
And
gatekeep?
and to piggyback off what you're saying, think about your old man. If you ask him a hunting secret, or like, "Hey, Dad, like, or Grandpa, what did you do?" Like, "Well, son, I'm gonna tell you, but don't tell anybody else." And it's like nowadays we're making podcasts on like how to better yourself in the hunting industry.
information is just everywhere
Yeah,
now that
yeah.
you can find anything you want. So,
Yep.
but yeah, to answer your question, yeah, we definitely like, unless you're leading the target, which then you don't have anything to go off of.
Yeah.
But like if you're not leading it, you're listening, you're watching the arc of the arrow, and sometimes you might think, 43 yards might be your guess, and then that took way too long to get there from him shooting it, so maybe I need to relook at this.
Add a
So,
couple yards to it
yeah.
or something.
Yep.
Is there a time limit when you walk up to shoot?
Yeah. So IBOs.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, IBOs, everybody has 2 minutes. There's not really like an official clause.
I didn't know that.
Well, it's probably self-regulated. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
but like, so ASAs, the first guy has 2 minutes, and then it's a minute after that, and there is a range official on the range all the time.
Gotcha.
And if like, they don't really say anything, but like if a group's holding everybody up, then all of a sudden you see the range official standing back there with a
Gotcha.
timer, and like,
Gotcha.
if somebody goes over, he's like, "Hey, that's your warning." Like,
He goes,
it was too long.
The next. So what do? Do you lose that arrow, or what is it?
The first time he'll just say something like, "Hey, that was your warning." Now, if it happens again, I'd have to read up on the rules for sure. I think it's like a 5-point deduction or something like
Gotcha.
that. I'd have to look at that to be
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
not in
but
concrete. But
It's never
It's not an issue, really.
that I'm aware of. It's never happened to where somebody's really timed out. That there's been like warnings. Like they've even told me before. I'm like, really, me? Because I'm normally fast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, you were like 5 seconds over. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll speed it up. Sorry.
yeah,
But-
yeah. Cool.
Interesting. Yeah. There's a lot of ins and outs in that.
Yeah.
What is your max yardage in IBO?
So it's supposed to be 50. So ASA does a really good job at keeping it within that normally.
Because I know it's like plus or minus like 5 yards, right?
Yeah,
for
like
IBO.
IBOs, it depends on who sets the course. Like when we go to pipe stem for the first leg, it's always, I think the farthest one we've shot's like 51 yards.
Gotcha.
But like there's other properties we go to that if you walk up on one and it looks like it's 54, you better shoot it for 54. I promise.
Because if you shoot it for 50, you're probably missing the target.
Yeah, and we've had some, like we shot an elk. It's been several years ago now, but I was up last on it, and everybody, like there was a lot of arrows like low in the 10, and everybody that came up, they were cranking their sight more and more, and I set my sight for like 55 and a half, I think. And I drew back and I'm like, that ain't gonna get there. And I actually held like above the 11 and hit the bottom of the 11. So
Oh
No
my
joke.
it had to be like 57, something like that. So
See, but that would make me so frustrated. You know, like nothing to bash against IBO,
Yeah.
but like if you got a bow set up, right? You know, like if there's a max yardage.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I hit your mic again.
Second time.
You shouldn't go over that yardage, in my opinion.
yeah, it makes it. If they're doing that, it definitely takes something away from the game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you have a max yardage, follow it. But there was a tournament, I think this was before my time, where they set it, and their rangefinder was on meters accidentally. So they actually, they were actually thought they were following the rules.
Yeah.
But it was, so
This was recently.
no, I think this was before my time. I've
Oh,
heard guys talking
sorry.
about
Sorry. I
that.
heard, yeah.
But yeah, I've heard like the pros will talk about some of the courses that they used to shoot like back in the day, and it was nothing to see a turkey at like 60 yards, or like
Could you imagine?
or like a gator at like 59, 58 yards. I'm just like, I'm glad you guys had fun with
And
that.
for anybody that's not familiar with like a turkey IBO scoring ring, you're talking like what? Something the size of your fist.
Yeah,
The 10 ring.
Yeah, the 10 ring.
The 11 ring is.
yeah. The 10 rings realistically about that big.
Yeah.
So
And the 11's like a penny.
yeah, it's like about like that.
Yeah.
So,
At 60 yards.
yeah.
Is it still that way?
No.
Okay,
no.
they've changed it,
No,
right?
like even when I was shooting open, so I shot MBO as an amateur in 2012 and 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Those courses were more like we had a lot more past max targets. Like I remember a set of 10 targets that our shortest target was 47 yards.
Holy cow.
And
Yeah.
then it went 47 out to like 55.
Yeah.
And there was people that like that was their first IBO. They go out to shoot 10 targets, they come back with no arrows, and they're like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. It's like, I don't blame you. I don't,
That'd be you.
Dude, 100%. I cannot judge to save my life.
but it's not near like that now, especially like the amateur ranges. They keep them more, and like MBO is a 45-yard max class now.
Yeah.
And then they have BBO now too, so that's a 40-yard max class. Like they actually have stepping stones, and
Yeah.
they make it a lot more shooter friendly now than they used to. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's Justin's shtick on the IBO and the unknown game, and it's definitely, what am I trying to say here? It's not for everybody, but it is fun.
I will like to say, like, if you are a big hunter and you want
Yes.
some practice, there's local shoots all the time that do IBO stuff. Like, go in there, you'll have a stake that you shoot at. Normally it's like color coordinated, so you'll probably shoot like the yellow stake or whatever, and like you might have a max of like 45 yards. Take your hunting bow, take your arrows, go have fun, leave the rangefinder, and just have fun.
Yeah.
And most of the clubs anymore, like they might even do a money shoot with rain, like known yardage.
Yeah.
And like, if you're scared to go out and judge, go out and like judge the targets and then range it and shoot it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, just see how close you are, because you'll probably do a lot better than you think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I always tell people, if you're scared about shooting unknown, the biggest thing is still your shot. Because if you make a strong shot, it's going to correct a lot of that problems. Like a lot of people, they might underjudge it by yard, but then they
dip bang.
dip bang, like to
that turned into 7 yards.
yeah. Then they're looking at their bow like, man, I misjudged that by 6 yards. No, you didn't. I watched.
I watched your stabilizer go boop,
Yeah.
and then you shot.
So,
yeah.
no, it's it's like you guys said, it's not for everybody, but it's definitely a little. To me, it's a more fun archery game. It's not just stand there trying to hit the same spot over and over.
Sure.
Again. It's more like golf, because every shot's different.
Every course is different.
Yeah, it's complete
Terrain.
Once you shoot that one, it's done. You're moving on to the next one. It's
Yeah.
completely different.
Footing's
So,
bad.
yeah.
It's fun.
It's good practice, and it's just something fun to do. And so
Off the record, do you like ASA or IBO better? Is it the same?
they both have their things that I like. IBOs, you get aim center 10. So
Yeah, that's true.
You're shooting at the 11 in the middle of the 10.
That's
ASAs, you're trying to hit.
Aiming off.
Yeah, you're trying to hit the 12s that are kind of on the edges. But
Are you aiming off, or are you taking yardage off at an ASA shoot?
so actually, a couple years ago, I started calling uppers, and then what I'll do, because I found that especially shooting with no lens, which we were talking about before we
we
started.
should talk about that again, but yeah,
But,
anyways.
Like I noticed if I was aiming at the 12, especially the lower 12, I would actually wind up drifting low,
Peaking.
and
Peeking at
not realizing it. So I'm comfortable aiming at the middle of the 10. So I'll aim at the middle, and I'll try to. if anything, I typically will underjudge.
Yeah.
So I just try to pad it a little bit and get it to rise, which it's not going to rise that fast. And it's a safer game for me, and I hit more 12s that way.
So you actually do aim center 10 on an ASA face.
Yeah. Like what I'll do, because like the 12s are kind of either left or right, depending on which way the target's facing. I'll aim at like the right side of the 11, like where
depending
center
on
10
what
is.
side.
And if it's a target where I'm just trying to get a 10, I'll just aim at the middle of the 10, and if I happen to hit it, I'll hit it. But
so I actually have a question. I know we're getting kind of deep in this podcast, but talk about like what makes you walk up to a target and be like, I'm going to destroy this 11, or tell me about like, I'm going to shoot this target safe. Like, what's going through your head?
Course management.
Yeah, a lot of it I'm still trying to learn, but a lot of it, it depends on the day too. Like if you're having a day where I'm just not seeing numbers right now, survive, like stay.
You're talking about judging.
Yeah, like okay, the first day at Winter Nationals this last weekend, I shot 16 up. I was just walking to the targets. That's how far it is.
And it was.
Boom.
And it was confidence.
And it's just firing really strong shots, and they were just hitting. And then there might be a day where it's like, oh man, I shot a few 8s already. It's like, let's just get in the 10 ring. Let's get my
build
bearings.
some confidence.
Yeah, let's just try to like survive and not throw away too many points and move on to the next day or whatever. So it depends on where you're at in the tournament too, because if that's like day 2 and you're struggling and you're already behind, you might have to hit some 12s or you're just gone anyway. So
you would say it's just based completely off of confidence in your numbers.
Yeah. And some targets, like if you have a target you're really comfortable with, you walk up there and it's like, I know this target. Like I hit this thing every time. You might
the one you have in your backyard.
Yeah, you might have confidence. It might be false confidence, but you might have confidence in it to where you're at least going to break a stronger shot, and it might even
catch.
Yeah, it might still catch even if you're a couple yards off.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
No, I like that. I would love to get into the 3D game, but Cromer won't let me.
There's not enough weekends in the year.
I've been trying to get Cromer to get into the 3D game for years.
Listen, so when Cromer and I actually did like a small little like Ohio circuit, dude, we destroyed.
Yeah, we did.
And you were shooting skinny arrows.
I was. Yeah.
What did we shoot up? I shot what? At Ashland, what did I shoot up? 40,
Too
43? This is ASA scoring. And then you shot like
I don't know, right behind you.
40?
Something like that.
I think he was just rubbing in that he beat you.
Yeah.
Is what that was.
Well, he beat me the next week. Like we were always back and forth, but man, like I kind of fell in love with it a little bit. But
Well, I was trying to get when OPA was still a thing. I actually loved OPA.
oh, me too.
Yeah, because you got second 1 year, right?
Third. But
Gotcha.
I loved OPA from the time they announced the idea, and like
What happened to that?
The venue.
Turned into like a money thing.
So basically,
Can you explain OPA real quick before you get into that?
I don't know, Levi, if I'm not supposed to say this, I'm sorry, but so basically,
Clip it.
He so it's from the sounds of it, they leased it to the guy in Wisconsin,
Gotcha.
and then he was supposed to have it for like 2 years, and he ran it into the ground pretty much.
Yeah.
And
Lit it
then-
on fire.
That's what I heard.
I don't know. I was actually going to ask Levi if they're going to bring it back, but I don't know for sure what's going on with that. Gosh, I love that tournament.
me too.
Like, I feel like Zach over here would have loved that tournament too.
Yeah,
We did some stuff.
We did some
local
stuff.
stuff.
PA.
Got my butt kicked, but
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
I forgot Possum Hollow.
Yeah, they
that.
did a
yeah.
pretty decent job at it too.
Yeah.
I got my butt kicked. But
So
anyways.
for anybody that doesn't understand what OPA is, it's a 3D target, but like you have your scoring rings, but they color in like a 12, and they'll color in like the 14, and then that's what you're aiming at.
Yeah, and the
So-
14's always in play to shoot.
And there's no like questioning where the ring is, because like that's the biggest thing in 3D, right? Is like you don't know where to aim. Well, now you know where to aim.
Technically, you should, but most of the time when they're 55, 60 yards
You can't
away
see 'em.
and your pin covers the whole 10 ring, it doesn't matter if they colored in the 12 ring.
And like OPA, so they had the colored rings, and then it was all known yardage, but they did it out to like 80 yards.
yes.
Yeah.
And the last year they did it was out to 100. But
Yeah.
but like when they had it at Seven Springs, it was awesome because it was like steep up and down shots. I mean, it was technical.
That's fun.
Normally, like it was definitely a course where like you would expect like your high end field shooters like Jesse or somebody like that to come out there and win, which they typically did. So
Yeah, that's true.
And
those
most guys
did-
run skinny arrows during OPA.
yeah,
Yeah.
If you didn't, you were getting blown all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, OPA was a good memory. wasn't
It's gone now.
it? Seems like it may come back. It may come back.
I hope they bring it back. I was hoping they were going to do like a triple crown of them or something, because I actually really enjoyed that one. As much as I love judging yardage, that felt like a unknown known yardage shoot because it was so difficult.
You should talk about your safari stuff now.
Yeah, we're doing not the same, but not the same. We're doing a safari shoot,
Triple Crown,
and we're going to 3 different venues, and it's like Reading. It's basically like Reading on field faces, but it's kind of the same
orange
the same
dot
concept. There's orange dots.
Are they all like the bales with like the paper faces?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the spot hog target. And so we're doing a Triple Crown this year. It's like you said, it's like everybody talks about it, but nobody actually does it.
Right.
So we had a guy, he kind of led the way. His name's Bill. And he's like, let's do it. And I'm like, all right. So I got on board, and I'm helping run it. But, yeah, it's going to be a Triple Crown.
Yeah.
That known yardage. It's like a field Reading mixture. But, yeah, if anybody.
A lot of guys out west do that,
Yeah.
you know. For
That's what do they call that actually? Like safari.
They actually
style?
call it a safari.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I like that style. I've done that a couple times with like the state one here, and I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
It's definitely different because for me, it's different because you have this big orange dot to aim at. But it definitely, I don't know. It's something. It's for everybody.
Different.
Too.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, but it's a really cool.
You've
cool
shot
shoot.
those, right, Jerry?
Yeah.
Kev?
Is this like what Ashland puts
Yes.
on?
Yeah.
Okay.
The trail shoot?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very similar to
Shoot
that.
like
Okay.
2
Yeah.
arrows a target.
Yep.
And all that stuff.
Yeah.
So-
With a big orange dot.
It's fun. So what was the other one you guys were just talking about with the 12 and the 14?
OPA.
Is it the same type of thing, just a smaller
Very
dot?
very small.
Very
yeah.
small.
Yes.
Like every ring that's colored
It's-
is the same size.
It's more like ASA targets, but like with the 12 and 14 just colored.
Yeah.
So
like they
you're,
take paint and color them.
you're still talking like probably a 50-cent piece size 12 ring, but it might be out at 80 yards.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you're really strategizing because it's
You'd like that, Jerry.
because it's like in the corner, because the 12's like in the
Yes. It's
offset
center.
a little bit.
So
yeah.
you're really having to strategize like, oh, it's windy here. Maybe I should just take a 10 and move on.
Yep.
Aim center 10.
And then like, if you get behind, you might have to go, well, I need to throw the 14
Gotta
down on
gamble.
this. And
Yeah.
so
At 80 yards.
I shot a deer at. I'm living the glory days.
congratulations, man.
No, listen. I'm still surprised I did. Matt was there. I've got it on video.
Oh, actually, I saw this.
Did you see that?
I saw that video.
And I was like,
73 yards, right?
yeah, it was 73 yards, and I was in like 3rd or 4th place, and I was like, if I don't hit this 14 at a 73-yard bedded deer, I'm just gonna get 3rd place and whatever. So I take my card. Nobody's paying attention to me, and I take my
seen it.
14.
I seen it.
Thanks, Matt. Matt was paying attention.
Because I thought you were an idiot, and I'm like, because Rocky Cummins was in 1st place, and like I was in 2nd, and you were in 3rd,
Yeah.
and you were on that 73-yard deer, and you threw down your 14. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna shoot center 10 and get 2nd place, baby. And then you smoked.
Then I smoked that 14,
So-
that colored 14.
So had
rating.
you already shot, and now you were kind of
So
hosed?
yeah, so like he threw down his 14, and I was like, he's not hitting that. So I
Love the
drew.
confidence coming from
Yeah,
a buddy
right. Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I drew back and like I think I centered it, just a safe shot.
Yeah.
And like I was like, I'll take 2nd. Like I'm okay with that. And then all of a sudden, Cromer just starts squealing.
It's like, well, I guess I'll take 3rd. Never
I'm like,
mind.
well, I just got 3rd place.
Oh man, that was.
Yeah, so
that
you
was
should,
classic.
in hindsight, you probably should have at least watched and seen what he did.
I know it. I didn't have the confidence.
Yeah, you weren't shooting the 14 regardless.
Dude, like seriously, he hit like a 50-cent piece at 73 yards. I'm like, there's no way he's hitting this thing. He smoked
did.
it. And
I
then
did.
what was that? Brian, right, was
Yeah.
behind you, and he was like, "You caught it."
Well, I mean, Zach knocks when he walks, man. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Heisenberg. I'm the one who knocks.
Yeah, I still can't believe you hit that shot.
I can't either. I still relive that glory day every once in a while.
Dude, that was a rough course. Water everywhere, mosquitoes.
That's another podcast.
We got a lot more.
We got like 10 of them just in this one.
We could talk about that for an hour, but yeah, no, that's good stuff. I love the Reading stuff. I love it.
You love Justin.
I love it.
I have a random question.
All right,
If
go
you
ahead.
love Reading, why don't you go to Reading?
I'm poor.
Well, okay, there's also that. That is a problem on this side of the country for
No,
Reading.
it's just like I mean, I would love to go to
It'd
Reading.
be like we've talked about it so much. but
$1,200 to $1,500 to go.
I
Right.
just can't see getting out there and back without like spending $1,500.
Easily
Yeah,
$1,500.
and that's honestly the reason I've never went to it. Like, especially after OPA, the year I shot really well, it's like, man, I should go to Reading.
Yeah.
But then it's like, man, I don't know that I want to go to Reading that bad.
Have you
I'm gonna drop $2,000.
Have you ever gone to the Indiana Bass and Bucks shoot?
No, and the bad thing is that's actually close to my in-laws' house. Well, I say close, but it's like a couple hours.
You should
still,
do that.
But like that one, it normally falls on like an IBO weekend
Yeah,
or something
it
like
typically
that.
does.
So it's like I've looked into going, like I've wanted to go to that the last few years, and it's like normally like the weekend of one of the IBOs or like the weekend right before, and it's like I should really practice for my thing.
Because
so.
you have a separate bow for the skinny arrows, right?
I don't have anything right now.
You
so
should.
Like,
In the past, you have.
I used to in the past, and
Yeah.
I actually had full intentions of setting up a different bow.
Yeah, I think
for
you
that.
promised me last year you were going to shoot some field with me.
I told you I would, but then you see some things happen with setups, and I don't have anything currently. So
you just love them foam deer, don't you?
yeah, I mean,
And you're just,
Hey, you're good at it though. You know, like naturally you're gonna shoot what you're good at.
yeah, and
And
that's what it's weird for me because like normally it's like indoors or something got people into it. Like I was shooting unknown 3D stuff. Like I'd been to IBO Worlds with a hunting bow on a 45-yard course before I even knew indoors existed. Like the first time I found out there was a league close by, and it's like, oh cool, I'll go shoot that. The range is upstairs. I fully expected there to be like 3D targets scattered in there. I walk up there and it's like,
paper?
okay, they're shooting at paper faces. And like Steve Hunt, like,
Yeah.
I had met him at like one of the IBOs, and we had talked quite a bit throughout the year, and he was there, and I was like, so how does this work? Like it's all just 20 yards? Yeah. And he explained like the scoring. I was like, so basically you just got to stay in the white at 20 yards. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then,
Okay.
yeah, this is different. All right.
Yeah.
And then
I'm gonna leave now.
And then I figured out it was, a little bit mentally harder than what I thought. But
Oh, it's
Like-
easy once.
I think the struggle with indoors is like everybody thinks, oh, it's 20 yards. And honestly, you should be able to hit that every time.
Yeah.
But it's the consistency
Yeah.
thing. Like do it 30 times under pressure, or do it 60 times under pressure. Then
Well,
your mind's gonna just fold.
it's so easy, it's hard.
Yes.
Because like your
Get
brain,
lazy.
Your brain makes it hard. And then all of a sudden you get in a groove where you just like, what am I gonna have for supper? Well, that sucks.
now I'm out of the tournament. And that's the other thing. Like in outdoors, you can make up
Yes.
points.
Yes.
If you miss once inside, you might as well pack your bow up.
Well,
like for real.
And that's why like 3D archery, unknown 3D archery got started, because people got tired of not being able to miss.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the transition's kind of moving back towards unknown right now, because the guys moved to the known at ASAs.
Dude, and then you got to shoot 60 up to even compete.
Yeah, and like the
It's like,
scores,
what?
which I figured that was going to happen when they started known pro. If they're going to do that, they need to make it farther at least, or something.
I agree with that.
I agree.
But like,
Something has to change.
Yeah.
It's getting too easy for them.
but like that's why a lot of those guys are coming back, because they're like, this is more of a game over here. Like I can shoot 10s and
Strategize,
I can strategize. It's not like I have to go at every 12, and
Yep.
if I take a kick out, it's like, oh, there's my weekend. So
And you have to go for every 12.
yeah, you
in the
pretty much
know.
have to. And
Yeah.
I mean,
You miss, like, two
we
a
were
day.
we were talking about this. Granted, Cromer and I would get down this rabbit hole for hours, but
Right.
Chad, Rada, and us were talking. Look at the scores from an ASA 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And then look at the scores now.
What
They've like doubled.
the bad thing is, like, when they started that class, I was like, I give it 5 years and a lot of those guys will come back. And everybody's like, why do you say that? I'm like, let these pros, these spot pros that have never shot 3Ds, as soon as it's going to take them a few years, but once they figure out those targets,
Yeah, where
dude,
to aim.
the scores are going to be nuts. And
Yep.
that's
What Jimmy shoot at the last 60 up, right?
60 or 62, I think.
Yeah.
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 Was he the first one to break 60
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, Kyle Douglas shot 58 last year, I think.
And I'm not saying that it's easy, but I'm actually surprised that it didn't happen sooner.
I would agree.
Because like
Yeah.
when that started, I was like, dude, once those guys figured out, it's going to be mid 50s
Yeah.
every time to make the cut.
And it is.
And that's what it is.
That's what it's happening now. It's like, it's nuts.
If you don't shoot 55 or 56 or something, you're not even in it, you know?
Yeah. And then like our class, you don't know what it could be. Like there's been weekends where you get done as 6 up made the cut.
Just because of the toughness
Yeah.
of
Like
the course.
it might be
yeah.
a tough course, tough weather, something like that. Like 6 ups made it before. And then, another weekend you get done and it's like 26 up. I mean, you don't know really what it's going to be, but some guys, a lot of guys struggle that weekend. And
Yeah.
just kind of, I don't know. It's different at least.
Yeah.
So
No.
Cool. Well, we're after an hour, so let's finish this up so Jerry doesn't have to edit for 17 days.
I already saw him over there looking at his clock.
He's like, man, we got to edit this.
yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. I feel like he's just
Nah.
sitting over here like,
Listen, you know how many times I'm doing that, listening to hunting podcasts? Love them, but I'm not hunting as much as I'm target shooting. Anyways, on that note, let's finish up on the hunting. You're hunting every single year.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at your Instagram, we creep on you. You usually have a 140-inch buck in your hands about October 15th. So tell us how you do that.
You're about a month early, but no, like I think I kind of touched on that earlier, but like hunting for me, I've always loved hunting. I still, like, even through the whole year, I'm daydreaming about hunting like everybody else does. But like that's my getaway.
It's your
like,
fun time.
That's my reset. Like that's my get recentered on God and like unwind, just enjoy being in the woods time. Like, and if I took it as serious as most people did, like running trail cameras, food plots, blah, 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 all that, you name it. Like I already know my personality, and I would start to not like hunting. It would feel more like a chore.
Yeah.
So
Been there.
and that's kind of where, like, I'm a glutton for punishment. I like to do things the hard way. So I'm been getting more and more into hunting with a stick bow. And so, yeah, it's interesting. I'm a whole lot different than a lot of hunters. But, like, my preparation for hunting season looks like pulling my hair out because I didn't hit the exact hole on the target with my broadhead that I wanted to, and I'm trying to tune my bow and everything, and I get frustrated in that time. But then season starts, I can sit there and go, okay, if I get an opportunity, I'm going to hit the hair I'm aiming at. So that's my preparation for hunting. So
Yeah.
and I'm fortunate to have a couple of family properties that, you know, I'm able to hunt on, and
That's cool.
know the properties like the back of my hand, know what the
nice.
deer do on them, and, you know, but I also go in there when I shouldn't on bad winds and and blow the deer out. But
I just want to sit in the stand.
right, I just want to be in the woods.
Yeah.
So
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. So, well, do you want to ask the final
Yeah,
question?
let's wrap up the question.
Do you want to drop your personal stuff, Instagram or anything?
yeah, so Justin Martin, that's my personal page. I have an archery page on Facebook as well because I kind of capped out on friends. Justin Martin -
He's
archery.
popular.
Well, I don't know about that, but
That's quite the flex.
I always
I
said,
ran out of room for friends.
I always said I wasn't going to be the guy with an archery page.
Oh,
and then it happened. So
Here we are.
Justin Martin Archery is my archery page, and then Justin Martin on Instagram. I think
Yeah,
it's like
he's almost maxed out on friends on Instagram too. So
Yeah.
just get in while you can.
Get in quick, yeah.
yeah. But
Oh shoot, that's good.
That's cool. So our final question is, what have you learned in hunting that you can apply to everyday life?
so this one, I've listened to several of your guys' podcasts. Everybody says patience. It seems like
Yeah.
patience or persistence. I'm dang it, I lost the word. I was thinking about
Does it
this
start with a
earlier.
P?
No, it does
Okay.
not.
Okay.
You take your time.
Yeah.
We
Hold
can
on.
we
Oh,
can
okay.
edit this.
I was gonna say you might have to edit some of that out, but I'm gonna say resiliency and adaptability. So like, and that works with everything, especially archery. Like
Yeah.
for me, I really relate with that with archery, but hunting too. But everything in life. I mean, you know, you start stacking up failures. Are you gonna lay down in this pit of failures and you stack them all up on top of you, and all of a sudden you're under this mountain of failures? Or, you know, do you get yourself up, dust off, look at them and go, okay, I can make something out of this, you know, put this one here, and next thing you know, you have a staircase of failures that you can climb out of that pit in and get to success.
I
So
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But-
like that.
you have to have the adaptability and the resiliency to be able to do that. And that works with everything. So
Right.
Yep. No, I like that a lot.
And like kind of cap that. It's like with the target archery side of it. It's like if you don't have that mindset, there's about 5 or 6 guys in all the classes that are just always on top. And if you don't have that mindset of okay, I didn't make it this weekend, but I'm not going to give up. You're just going to give up because those guys you're always fighting, and you're in the mix too, but you're always fighting with about 10 guys. And if you just give up after 2 years of not making the podium, then you
Good
might as
luck.
well-
Yeah.
and I used to, and I catch myself still, like if I make a mistake, like shoot a 5 or shoot an 8, it would like,
Ruin
there
it.
was something
Yeah.
in my head where I would go down this track of like, you know, just feeling bad for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And like Foley was a great example of that. Like I blanked a target the first day in Foley. I mean, I overjudged it by a half a mile because it was a bad lead, but whatever. So I kind of stood over there and I just, okay, we got a long ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the first day, I think I was 2 down with that blank, and I was still in the mix.
Still in the
I mean,
mix,
it was going to
yeah.
take a big day, but I was still in the mix, where in the past, I probably would have almost given up after that one. So,
Sure.
I would have 100%.
yeah, I mean,
I'm just gonna be honest.
Matt, I need you to remember the story in about 2 days. When you miss an X on the 5 spot, I want you to just
Wow.
picture Justin Martin.
look at the confidence he has, too. I mean, he knows you're going to miss, is what he's saying.
Oh, I'm gonna miss.
We've already had this conversation Monday
I
night.
can't go in there with high expectations.
Seeing like that one, I wish like Vegas and indoor nationals, they would do like the Hunger Games. Like whenever somebody misses, they like have the tribute video going, and like and like you can just leave, like you're done. Like if you miss your first arrow, you're done. Get off the line.
The reason I laugh so hard is I just watched all 4 Hunger Games on Netflix. So that's why I laugh so hard, because it is very funny. So there's just music playing after the end is over.
Yeah,
And it's like every
It's on the
picture
screen.
is
Yeah.
going across.
and they have the music and like the little cannon shots for everybody.
Yes,
And
you're like where you live is underneath of it. So like Justin Martin, where do you live at? Killbuck, Ohio. It just plays the music. It just keeps going.
Yep.
That,
Dude, actually, that would be.
Dude, that's
you know
so
how fun an indoor tournament would be
Oh, yeah.
if that was the case.
And we were like the pros, we were all talking about that the second day at indoor nationals last year, at least those of us that missed. It's like, this tournament would actually be kind of nice. It would suck too to travel that far and everything, but it'd be nice if like you miss on the first day, just go home. Like
Yeah.
right then, pack your stuff up, leave.
Yeah.
You're done.
maybe you could get like some money back. Like
Yeah.
you missed, and like here's $50. Get out of here.
Okay, the end of the first day, everybody that missed, we'll do a shoot off for some of your money
Yeah,
back. And then,
there you go.
And then you can go home. So,
Everybody throws in $5 in the pot, and the winner takes that home.
yeah, see?
We
Now,
should do
now
that.
we're getting
Some
somewhere.
side,
Oh my.
side games. Yeah.
But
Oh, that
I
was
love
fun.
it. Yeah, we need to wrap this up,
Yeah,
on
we-
Jerry.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, talking about Rogue Bowstrings.
And
telling
yourself,
About
yeah.
yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for having me, guys. A lot of fun. And I mean, anytime you guys want to be bored by me again, just let
Dude,
me know.
I
So,
would love. I had so much fun on this podcast. I would love to have another conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I know where to find you guys now.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Pretty much.
Next Wednesday, Justin's just knocking on the door. Hello, what's for dinner? Yeah.
Bob, meatloaf. What's she do all day? Gosh.
Oh gosh. All right,
Alrighty.
Kevy, send us home,
Yeah.
baby.
All right. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. You can always be born again, and born again is out.
Peace.